بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. We begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Indeed, all praises are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him and we ask Him to send His peace and blessings upon our noble messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Azhar Zaidi and I will be hosting this webinar, inshallah. First of all, I thank you for taking the time this Sunday afternoon for me, perhaps morning for some, for you to attend this specific webinar, which covers one of the itineraries of the Seera Hajj program. Inshallah, the program consists of a presentation which will be about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, walk you through the itinerary, and then we'll open it up to questions in the end. I have disabled the Q&A folder, and the purpose of doing so is that chances are that many of your questions would have been answered in the course of the presentation, and if so, then it makes it easier to answer the few questions that are still remaining, as opposed to going through all the questions that you ask before even the presentation is finished. So, brothers and sisters, let's begin, inshallah. So this particular itinerary that we're reviewing is that of a 10-day non-shifting Hajj packages. It's basically going through the Hajj packages called Executive A or Executive B. And it's regardless of whether you're in Majar Al-Kabsh or Al-Moaisem camps. It doesn't matter which camp you're in. It's just the package consists, the itinerary review consists of just this package. We had this morning the review of the Seera 14-day non-shifting packages called Signature A and B, and now it's Executive A and B. And I encourage you to actually be attending the correct webinar, because if you attend one of the webinars in which you're not going, then you will probably get confused based on the information that is provided. So I'm hoping that those who are attending now are the ones who are in Executive A and B for the Seera Hajj packages. If you are in Seera 14-day shifting deluxe package, that is next week. And if you are in the Seera Essentials A and B package, that is in the following week. So make sure to attend the correct one. You will gain the most really out of this webinar if you know the package you purchase. You should know by now which package you're in. And you should know whether it's the camp called Majar Al-Kabsh or it's the camp called Al-Moaisem, because they are two different camps in Mena, and the logistics are very different in both the camps. It's not the same. And that has an impact on how you actually go from Mena to Arafat to Muzdalifah and back. And so it's important that you know which camp you have as part of Executive A and B, because I will cover both of them in detail, inshallah. Best thing for you to do is to take notes. I mean, you probably have written down the questions and answers that you have, the questions that you have for me. However, make notes, and hopefully if I've answered your question, you cross it off. If you have new questions, you can write that down. And so at the end, you can post the questions, inshallah. But keep your questions to the logistics topics. We're actually providing you information on two tracks. One is the religious or spiritual track, and the other is the actual logistics and admin track. You will have plenty of opportunities to ask your fiqh questions in the Manasik of Hajj sessions that will be held later on. For now, it's the logistics. So keep your questions to the logistics part. Okay? Inshallah, we'll give you plenty of time in the end to ask the questions. Just to give you an idea of where we stand with respect to the services for Hajj, the ownership of providing you the services is, sorry, say that again. The responsibility for providing services to you is that of the Hajj service provider companies in Saudi Arabia. In this case, it's the Seera Al-Moaisem group. They're responsible to provide for you the airline arrangements, the accommodations, the transportation, services in the camps during the Manasik of Hajj, and much more. Hajj guides that are assigned by Seera Al-Moaisem are there in a supporting role to deliver the services to you. So that's the difference between guides and the provider of services, or at least the ownership of providing the services. Now, this is important for you to understand. This is April the 5th. Hajj doesn't start till sometime in May. I think you'll be going there on May 21st. There's plenty of time here. There's too many variables that would change some of the information that we're sharing. That's why we're sharing it in a general sense. It's day by day, but it's in general sense. And understand that things may be changed because they may be out of our control. And so the information that we're providing should be taken with that thing in mind. Now, for you to actually have a good understanding of the logistical aspects of your package that you purchase, you have to do two things. A, you're attending this one, which is the itinerary, which is good. And B, we had 2 webinars last weekend. Very comprehensive, 2 hours long. General logistics for the camps. One was for Majar Al-Kabsh camp, one was for the Al-Moaisem camp. If you attended it, I'm hopeful that you benefited from it. If you did not attend or wish to review the recording of it, that's available in the Hajj Guidance Network, and that's the camp and program guidance section. You will find the general logistics presentation for both Majar Al-Kabsh and Al-Moaisem. Between these presentations on general logistics and your itinerary specific presentation, and inshallah later on we'll have another webinar with you based on the program you selected, where inshallah you'll get introduced to your Hajj guides and we'll have more opportunities for Q&A. I think this will completely prepare you from a logistical, from an itinerary, from an administrative perspective. And also remember that we're going to be with you on the ground. So this 2-track will go with you. We'll be with you on the ground to continue with the guidance on the logistics and administrative aspects. We'll also have people who will be providing you the religious aspect of the Hajj, and they will be on the ground with you as well, inshallah. So the review here today is to go through the itinerary in steps, after which we'll open up to the Q&A. So departing for Hajj, I want to start with what you take with you, importantly, because some people, the question is still being asked and will be asked. Am I allowed 2 suitcases? Well, if you're traveling from North America, yes, Canada, United States, you're allowed 2 pieces of checked luggage. From Europe, probably only 1 piece, 30 kilo. The same thing probably from Australia. But I want you to consider what you're taking with you, right? 1 suitcase should be sufficient because, people tend to overpack. And hopefully, by the 3rd week of April, we should have a packing list for you to consider. Do I need this? Do I need this? But enough for a prompt for you to look at. And I mentioned some of that in the general logistics webinar. And so remember, don't overpack. Okay, 1 suitcase should be enough. You will need a roll-on bag for you to carry your things to Mena for staying overnight. And then you will also need a backpack for carrying your things between Mena and Arafat and Muzdalifah, because you don't need to take your roll-on bag. So bear that in mind, and inshallah we'll provide you a proper packing list sometime in the 3rd week of April so you can have a better understanding of it. Okay. Now, when you depart, this is not the time to miss your flight. And I see this happen all the time when people go for Umrah. I missed my flight, I came late. Don't do that. The check-in counter opens 4 hours before flight departure. And I can tell you the international flights, especially the ones taking pilgrims for Hajj, is going to be full. Just get there early, just to be safe, right? As such. Number two, this is meant for those who have a domestic flight before they join the international flight to Saudi Arabia. And that is how your luggage is handled. Your checked luggage is handled by the airline. And it's best for me to explain this with an example. Let's say you live in the United States and you're flying on either Turkish or Saudi Airlines from JFK. But you actually live in Columbus, Ohio, and you will take a domestic Delta flight to JFK. You go into Columbus, Ohio airport and you want to check in, and the agent says, I can check your luggage all the way through to Medina. And you might think, hey, that's convenient for me. Let me have them check in through to Medina. What I'm advising you to do is not to do that. Because what you're really doing is making it convenient for yourself, but you're relying on Delta passing your luggage at JFK to Saudi Airline or Turkish Airline, whichever you're taking. If that is missed, then when you land in Medina, not only that your luggage will not be there, but it will be untraceable. Because even if you file a lost luggage report and you give it to the airline that you came with, let's say it's Turkish Airline, it will not be in their system, because remember, the tag you received for your checked luggage was from Delta Airlines. If they didn't pass on the luggage, Turkish has no knowledge of it. And so your luggage doesn't go anywhere. It probably sits in JFK. If accidentally somebody sees it and says, hey, this needs to go to Medina, then you might see it 2 or 3 days later, if at all. So to avoid that from happening, it will be a little bit of a work for you to do, and that is check your luggage in a domestic flight only to the end of your domestic destination. Check it, in my example, from Columbus, Ohio to JFK. Claim it at JFK. And then check your luggage in with the carrier that will be taking you to Medina. Either whatever the carrier is. And my example, I was using either Turkish or Saudi Airlines. Because when you check your luggage with them, they give you their tag. That means it's in their possession, it's in their system, it's traceable. If for some reason it gets misplaced, they are responsible for it, and they can track as to where it is and bring it back to you. It's important for you not to check your luggage all over Arabia in a domestic flight, but only when you're checking it with the international carrier. That's important for me, because God forbid if you do this and your luggage doesn't show up, it becomes too much of a test for you and too much inconvenience for you. It bothers you spiritually, you cannot concentrate. Okay. Arrival in Medina. When we say, immigration and customs may take some time, it depends on which flight is ahead of you. They've got hundreds of flights coming in. When you land, if there's a couple of flights ahead of you, there's a long lineup just to go through passport control. If you're one of the first ones, it's quick to go through, but you will go through passport control. They will stamp your passport. They will take your picture. They'll take your fingerprints. Then you'll go down the escalator to luggage claim, and you'll know which carousel to pick up your luggage. Make sure you pick up your luggage, because they look alike. I mean, you remember, hundreds of people are going through. Make sure it's yours. Have an ID on your luggage. Pick your luggage, put it in a cart. It's available. And then walk through customs. Our representatives cannot come in. Hajj service provider cannot come inside. That's a secure area. You have to walk all the way outside. When you walk outside through customs with your luggage, then you will meet your rep. If your luggage is not found, then you can go within the luggage claim area. There is a place to file a lost luggage report and take a copy of the report, and then the Hajj service provider will try and track that for you. Right? But you need to actually have that lost luggage report done before you exit the customs area. Now, the last part is important. If anyone is traveling with a permanent resident card or a green card from the United States, you do not need to show that to anyone. Nobody needs it. The only reason you're carrying this card with you is because you need it so that you can return home. That's your residency permit to come back home. So keep this card on you and keep it safe. It's not required anywhere in Saudi Arabia except for the return trip from Jeddah Airport. Once you arrive and you go through passport control and you claim your luggage, you meet with your service provider rep, you'll be directed to a bus. Seera doesn't go out and get the buses. The buses are controlled by a third party because they want to control the transportation between the airport and the hotel. They don't want a bus to go half empty. So it's managed by the government. They will arrange with that third party and then direct you to your bus. You take your luggage to your bus, make sure it gets loaded, and then you get on the bus, and you always keep your valuables with you. Actually, the distance between the airport in Medina to the hotel in the city is approximately 30 minutes. But it's the time taken at the airport to get to the bus. And once you start that journey, inshallah, in 30 minutes or so, you'll be in the hotel. Now, hotels in Medina for the program, Executive A or Executive B is, Hilton and Movenpick. You can see how close they are. If you've never been, Movenpick is a hotel, barely 25 steps, and you walk into the courtyard. That white rectangular area that you see that's all white, that's the courtyard of Masjid al-Nabawi. The building of Masjid al-Nabawi is where it says, Al-Masjid al-Nabawi, that's the building part of it. The outside courtyard with the umbrellas open looks like this in a satellite view. So that's close you are. You just have to walk to the masjid and pray and get back, inshallah. Okay? That's the location of your hotel. It's important for me to mention this. When you walk into a hotel, it has only 2 standard beds, normally. But if you're in a triple room or a quad room, then know that there'll be 2 beds that are regular beds and 2 that are temporary beds. That's the way the rooms are configured over there. When you are assigned to a quad room, you're assigned to the room. We don't assign person to a bed. It's persons assigned to the room. So it's the occupants of the room that decides who gets which bed. So be considerate of each other. If somebody is elderly, may not be able to use a temporary bed, give them the regular bed. It's not that bad. Temporary bed is not that bad. But still the fact is it's not a regular bed. It still has a good mattress and a pillow and a cover. But, it also becomes congested. That's why going back to what luggage you carry, and if everybody carries 2 pieces of luggage in a quad occupancy, there's 8 check luggage, there's 4 carry-on, so it becomes very difficult to walk in the room, right? So bear that in mind when you're taking the luggage. But remember, the pricing of triple and quad is based on just that, having 2 regular beds and 2 temporary beds. Number 3, you might say, I travel for 28 hours, 24 hours, whatever hours you've traveled, and now you want your room and you arrive at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and they say, I'm sorry, sir, you have to wait. The way the hotels work over there, the check-in time and the checkout time has no bearing on the arrival time of the flight or the departure time of the flight. Their check-in time is 5 p.m. and this is Hajj. I can tell you that those 2 hotels will be at full capacity with not a single room available. And on the 18th of May, which is the first of Dhul Hijjah, almost the entire hotel will empty. People will check out and new people will check in. And normally when people check out, they check out in the afternoon. They'll come back after the Dhuhr prayers. They will take a shower, put on their ihram, and they're going on to Mecca. So you are arriving before that, you have to wait. And we will try our best to find a place for you to leave your belongings so you can relax, you can go to the haram. But know that you may have to wait because rooms are not available. We actually start working with the hotel with a list of people that are coming in the night before, and we work with housekeeping to give priority to the rooms assigned to us to have it clean so you can go in per se. But still know that you have to exercise patience if you're coming in early because the rooms may not be ready. Once you get in on the first, relax, get some sleep, from second and the third, you have 3 nights there, 1, 2, 3, 1 to 4, 3 nights. Just every entrance to the courtyard of Masjid Nabawi has a gate that has a number on it. Just become familiar. That's the number. If I'm going from Movenpick, it gates number 328. So I know where to get back to, so I can't get lost, right? And spend time. And the meals are already there. Open buffet breakfast and dinner will be provided. There'll be times given for that. It's in the restaurants of the hotel, so you don't have to worry about going outside and buying anything. Just follow the instructions because there will be a bus tour. Will take you by bus to Masjid Quba, historical sites, Uhud Mountain where the Battle of Uhud and where the martyrs of Uhud are buried, etc. So just follow that. There might be other programs, for example. And we will also have at least one session in revising and reviewing the fiqh of Umrah. How to perform Umrah, how to perform Hajj. Especially those going for the first time, they should really concentrate on performing Umrah. Hajj we will do together. We'll go together to Mena and to Arafat and to Muzdalifah. But Umrah, there is a chance that you get separated even though you start with the group. You should really know how to perform Umrah inside out, backwards, and blindfolded, right? So concentrate on those questions. Know how to perform Umrah. We'll cover that in a session. Administrative guidance will also be provided, in that session as such. Okay. Buyer guide. By that time, you will know your guide. You'll know your guide before you depart, inshallah. But remember, the communication will be through WhatsApp. Now, we are trying to get people away from Telegram into one WhatsApp group called Seera Hajj 2026. That's the WhatsApp group. And everybody that's in Seera is there. Eventually, we'll break that up. We'll have separate groups for Executive A separate group for Executive B, a separate group for Signature A and Signature B, all these other programs in Seera. So now we'll break it into smaller groups where the guides are assigned, and you'll have your own group and with your own guide. Right? That will happen in due course as such. So please, say if you're in Telegram or if you have not joined this Seera general WhatsApp group, please do, because we'll stop communicating in Telegram. We'll stop sending out email. We'll all be communicating through this WhatsApp group. It's important for you to be part of this WhatsApp group. On day 3, you're preparing to depart Medina for Makkah. So this is where we are going to pick up your checked luggage. Inshallah, you'll be going on a high-speed train, and there is restriction on how much checked luggage you can take. But more importantly, it is convenient for your checked luggage to be transferred before you do, because it's very difficult to handle luggage when you're in ihram, especially for the men, and even more so for those who are going for the first time. So we'll pick up your checked luggage on the 3rd of Zulhijjah. We'll give you the timing for when. We'll also give you instructions on how to prepare, what to leave behind, what to send out. It is important that you follow the instructions, especially when it comes to placing your luggage to be picked up. Remember, almost the entire hotel is emptying on the 4th, right? So don't place your hand carry, medicine, valuables, passport with your checked luggage. That stays with you in the room. Your ihram that you're going to get into the next day stays with you in the room. That's why you need that roll-on bag. That's the one you're going to keep. And you're going to let your suitcase go out. But if I give you a time of 6 o'clock to put your suitcase out, and you're thinking, wait a minute, that's close to Maghrib time, I'll come back and put it after Maghrib. Don't do that. Adhere to the time. If you won't be able to put your bag outside on time, do it before time. If you cannot be there for 6 o'clock, but you'll be there at 5 o'clock and then you're heading out, put it outside at 5 o'clock. Nothing happens to your suitcase, right? Lock it and leave it outside, just outside your door, right? It gets picked up on time and gets transferred to Makkah, inshallah. So when you go next day, you're traveling light. Now comes the day of departure, day 4. That's the 7th of Zulhijjah for you. You're heading out one day before Hajj begins, right? You're going to go in ihram. What you do is you do all your pre-ihram preparation in your hotel room. Trimming of nails and removing unwanted hair, making ghusl, all happens in the hotel room. And what I mean by allow sufficient time to prep for ihram, just think about it. If you're in a quad occupancy, and if each person takes 45 minutes to do all of this, then you have to allow for that much time. And if I tell you that your departure time is 1:30 right after Dhuhr, and you have to go for Dhuhr to the Haram, that means you must be ready by 12. That means the prep starts probably at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? Right after breakfast. So allow sufficient time to prep, that everybody preps. Where do you wear the ihram garment? You wear it in your hotel room. You don't wear it in the train station. You wear it in the hotel room. And then you go downstairs to board the bus to the train station. Be on time. Are we making the intention here? No. We're just simply getting ready for making the intention. We're putting on the ihram, and when heading down, and making sure that you take your hand carry with you. Make sure your safe is empty. It's all in your hand carry. You have your valuables with you in your hand carry, your medicine with your hand carry, because you are responsible for your hand carry between Medina Hotel all the way to Makkah Hotel. Where do I make the intention? According to the scholars that I've worked with, they say you must make the intention before the miqat, but during the journey. So you have to leave your place of residence. You have to leave the hotel and start your journey towards Mecca. So basically, we're going to go by train. Yes, the train tickets will be given to you in the bus, and we can make the intention on the bus to the station, or we can make it at the station. We'll give you that guidance. The reason we're saying this is because the miqat that you must make the intention before the miqat is just barely outside the city of Medina. If you go by car in half an hour, you're at the miqat. But if you go by train, you're there in less than 10 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes, the train is doing 175 kilometers per hour, and they might announce to say, we're crossing the miqat. And you might be seated in different seats in different coaches. You might have dozed off. So we're going to make sure that the intention is done in the bus or at the train station so that everybody has made the intention at the right time. And it's okay. You don't have to do it at the miqat. It has to be at or just before the miqat. The train is efficient. Takes 2 hours and 15 minutes between Medina station and Makkah station. Very comfortable ride. And then once you get to Makkah station, you transfer from Makkah station by bus to your hotel in Makkah. And remember, you're responsible for your hand carry luggage. So you make sure that you take it from your train, and onto the bus. The kinds of things that people miss in the train sometimes because they're not paying attention would be their mobile phones. Make sure that you have your mobile phones with you and have not left it inside the pocket in the train somewhere. Hotels in Mecca, mashallah, in this program is right there, right across from the Haram. Fairmont Clock Tower and Swiss Hotel, part of the Haram Clock Tower complex. So you don't have to worry about the location of the hotel, mashallah. Again, I've gone through this. The room consists of 2 standard beds and 2 temporary beds. You don't have to worry about the check-in time. So when you come in on the 4th day or the 7th of Dhul Hijjah, you're coming in 1 day before Hajj is to begin. And you're going to come in the afternoon or evening, and you're going to perform Umrah and rest. Right? Next day, you're heading out. You're heading out next day to Mena. So basically, you're going to perform Umrah and get rested. Haram is crowded, and that evening will be crowded. So, if you're coming in and you're praying, and then you have to go next day for Fajr prayers, allow enough time. Open buffet breakfast and dinner will be provided. So you'll have your dinner when you arrive. You'll have your breakfast the next morning. Administrative guidance will be provided by your guide with respect to Hajj luggage handling and moving to Mena. And all that communication will be through WhatsApp. Now, on day 4, the same day you're coming in, basically, you can do it in Medina. Largely, you can do it in Medina, or you probably do it in your hotel after your Umrah is finished or before you depart for Mena. You have to actually start packing your belongings for the stay in Mena, right? You don't need to take your checked luggage. You don't need to take your valuables. Why is that? Because you are in a non-shifting program. You retain your hotel room, so your checked luggage remains in the room. And your valuables, your passport, all that remains in the safety deposit box in the room. If you're in a quad room, share the safety deposit box, share the 4-digit code of the safety deposit box. So you'll prepare that on the 7th or probably early morning of the 8th. Okay, what are you taking with you? Well, this is where there's a difference. And there's a difference based on the camp you're in, right? I want you to look at this carefully. If you are in Majar Al-Kabsh, you pack differently than if you are in Al-Moaisem. And that has a lot to do with accessibility to the hotel room during the Manasik of Hajj. With Majar Al-Kabsh being at the edge of Mena, you can walk out of Mena and catch a bus to come back to the hotel. With Al-Moaisem, the bus being managed by the government, by the Ministry of Hajj, and they schedule the buses, and it's smack in the middle of the valley where all transportation are halted, that is not a guarantee. And I'm going to cover that a bit later. So for Majar Al-Kabsh people, you don't need to take the roll-on bag for the change of clothes. Chances are you're going to go in Ihram to Mena on the 8th. You're going to go in Ihram from Mena to Arafat on the 9th. You're going to spend the day in Arafat. You're going to spend overnight on the 9th into the 10th in Ihram. And you're going to come back from Muzdalifah to Mena on the 10th into your camp. And that's the day you can come back to your hotel. So there's no need for change of clothes. You might need, essential items, your prayer mat, Quran, dua book, medicine, a snack. Energy bars are good to be used in, and electrolyte salts would be good to take with you. They'll be used in Muzdalifah and in an Arafat and Mina. A power bank, fully charged power bank. You don't need anything else. Okay. However, if you're in Al-Moaisem camp, because of that last bullet, returning to the hotel after Muzdalifah is subject to transportation schedule set by the Ministry of Hajj, you may not be able to shuttle back and forth every day. So it's better for you to take your change of clothes with you. It's better for you to take your hand carry with you, not the valuables, not your passport. Change your clothes. At least one change of clothes, if not two. Okay? If you're going to spend the time in Mina, you think about it, okay, I'm going to change into my regular clothes on the 10th. Then I'm going to go and to the Haram, maybe late on the 10th, early morning of the 11th, make tawaf ifada. Maybe I'll change again. Maybe I'll change in the hotel room. Then I'll go back to my camp. So at least two change of clothes, towel, toiletries, lightweight sleeping bag for Muzdalifah. I am mentioning this specifically because even though the Hajj service provider says that they provide the sleeping bag, it has happened in the last couple of years that because you used shuttle service, a rotational bus service between the camps in Mena and Arafat and then to Muzdalifah, that those who sometimes come in later, because that's the schedule given to them for the shuttle, when they arrive in Muzdalifah, there are no sleeping bags available. It's all gone. So you're better off taking something that has a filling of 2 pounds or less with you. It's not it doesn't weigh too much. So consider that with you, right? I'm going to talk a little bit more. And a backpack, because you're going to take this to Mina, but you leave your hand carry bag in Mina because you're going to Arafat in Ihram, you're going to come back in Ihram. So you don't need the hand carry bag, you just need the backpack, okay? Now, when do you prepare your bag and belongings for Mina? You can say I can do some of that in Medina before I leave because I'm coming the day before, or I can do it after my Umrah, or I can do it the morning I'm leaving for Mina. It depends on the timing of when you depart from Mina. It probably will be after breakfast in the hotel, but the timing is yet to be confirmed. So what you do is you prepare for Ihram in your hotel room. This is basically for those who are performing Hajj Tamattu. Hajj Tamattu is where you perform Umrah. So the intention in Medina was only for Umrah. And at the end of Umrah, in the evening of the 7th of Dhul Hijjah, you come out of Ihram by cutting your hair. In the morning of 8th, the next day, you put on Ihram again, and this time you make the intention for Hajj. So this is two different Ihrams, one for Umrah, one for Hajj. Those who are doing Hajj Qiran put on their Ihram in Medina, and they don't come out of Ihram in Makkah after their Umrah. They don't cut their hair, they remain in Ihram, so they don't have to wear the Ihram garment again. This one is being mentioned for those who want to actually do two separate Ihrams. They want to sleep in their hotel room for that one night, for that short period outside of Ihram. So they have to get up in the morning again. You don't have to probably trim nails, you just have to make ghusl and put on the Ihram garment in the hotel room. In Medina, you have to make the intention for Umrah when you left your hotel and getting to the train station or at the train station or before the miqat. In Mecca, if you're doing another Ihram for Hajj, then the intention for Hajj is made in the hotel room, in the place of your residence. So before you leave for Mina, you make the intention, right? Labbaik Allahumma hajjan. Either you pray 2 rakah and make the intention, and then you depart from Mina. As to when to depart, all that administrative guidance will be provided by your Hajj guide, and you'll sort out the timing for packing and so forth based on that. Let's talk about Mina camp. I want you to take a look at this picture. You can see that Mina is a valley. All the white stuff that you see is exactly the camps. Those are the camps. Those are the tents. All the beige color roads that you see in the valley, not the black one going across the valley, These are the streets that are completely closed. Once the pilgrims arrive in Mena on the 8th and once they depart for Arafat, they actually close the roads to all the traffic except for the roads that you see on the side of the valleys, right? So you can see where Moaisem camp is located. Those are the roads where there is no traffic. It's completely shut down. It's only whatever the government schedules for the buses to arrive, when to arrive, where they're going to go. That's when we know when we get there. That schedule is not available to us and will not be available to us until much later. I mean, probably when you arrive at the camp. So that's Moaisem, and there is challenges associated with that. Logistics is different. Then there is Majar Al-Kabsh. There's challenges associated with that, but the good thing is it's right across from the Jamarat. So at least one part, which is going and throwing the stones, is easier when you're in Majar Al-Kabsh than you are in Moaisem. I'll cover that in more detail. Let's go through this. This is a comparison chart that will make it easier for you to understand the difference between the camps. So if you are walking to the Jamarat, which you have to do on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, the 11th and the 12th, then know that from Majar Al-Kabsh is about 15 to 20 minutes one way. From Al-Moaisem, it's 1 hour one way. One way. You have to return back another hour, right, after the Jamarat. And that's the difference. That's a lot of walking from Al-Moaisem to the Jamarat than it is because of the location, because of the geography. When I'm going from Mena to Arafat to Muzdalifah, if I'm in Majar Al-Kabsh, I must use the Al-Mashayir train. I don't have a choice. If I'm in Moaisem, it is provided for by the government as shuttle buses, not private buses, not one-to-one, but shuttle buses, rotational buses that has a schedule that takes people from Mena to Arafat, comes back, takes the next batch, comes back, takes the third batch, and so forth. Access to Makkah hotel or Aziziyah during the Manasik, it's available from Majar Al-Kabsh, but not from the camp, because the buses do not come inside. That place is shut down. But the fact is that Majar Al-Kabsh is so close to the edge of Mena that you walk for about 1.5, 2 kilometers, and you're outside Mena, and the buses are on the other side in Aziziyah, and you can take the bus from there, it'll drop you back to the same place, and you have to walk back. But that's not the case in Al-Moaisem, because you're smack in the middle of the valley, and the bus is controlled by the government, so the transportation is limited. Yes, you have access, but how do you get there is limited and sometimes often not available, which is why I'm suggesting you take the change of clothes with you when you're in Moaisem. Do you have a choice to say, I'll take the train if I'm in Moaisem? No. Moaisem does not have that choice. Moaisem is buses, and similarly, Majar Al-Kabsh does not have a choice to take the bus. They have to take the train. Right? They have a challenge in that they don't have the bus coming right to them. They have to walk to the train station and walk from the train station to the camp. But here on Moaisem, it's a shuttle bus, but it's from camp to camp. Meals, open buffet in Mena, but for Al-Moaisem is open buffet in Mena and box meal in Arafat. Muzdalifah, both of them have box meal. They're dry meals normally, and people tend to use snacks like the energy bars, fruits if they have taken some fruits with them, but not necessarily a full meal. The camp setup is a bit different. Within the same compound in Majar Al-Kabsh are sections for men and women. They're in separate tents, obviously. Separate bathrooms, separate tents, separate catering. But in Al-Moaisem, they're not only assigned in separate tents, but they're separate areas, and each has its own designated access points. If I am in Seera Moaisem, I probably won't be able to enter the camp area for another Hajj service provider. So within Seera Moaisem, men are separate, women are separate, and a man cannot simply walk over to where his wife is staying in the camp and say, knock on the door, say, can I speak to my wife? Because men will not be even allowed in that camp area. So you'll have to find a common area to meet, if you're a family with the male and female. And hence I say to you that you always take a phone with you that is usable outside the Wi-Fi zone, because there's no Wi-Fi there. Either you have an international voice and data plan, or you buy a SIM from over there so you can actually communicate with each other. Okay. Accommodation for both camps, regardless of whether it's Moaisem or Majar Al-Kabsh, is that the tent space is allocated for each person. There's limited spaces, there's no extras. Trust me, they use that place efficiently. They don't have any extras. So you have a designated bedding in a designated tent, which is normally split by program and service provider. And the bedding is normally a foam sleeper chair. It's made up of foam. You fold it up, becomes a chair. You unfold it, it becomes a bed. And they'll give you a pillow and cover and blanket. And it is up to you to keep the tents clean, right? So when the time comes for prayers, it's going to be inside. There's no open area. People have this thinking that once I have to pray, I leave my tent and find some open area. In that heat, you don't find open areas. 109 degrees Fahrenheit, even praying 4 rakah for Dhuhr or 2 rakah for Dhuhr will be too hot for many people. And they don't have open area to start with. So what you do, you fold up the foam sleeper chair to make room for congregational prayers or lectures, etc. Right? If you bring your food inside the camp, make sure that you keep it clean. You throw it outside. Men and women are definitely in separate camp. The meals are catering station. They're set up in both camps, separate from men, separate from women. There is some variety in meals. And most importantly, that they have frigid insulated coolers everywhere in the camp and has a variety of drinks. You make sure you're hydrated. It's hot. You're still in the desert. Yes, there are tents. Yes, there's air conditioning. But the middle part of the tent, the canopy, is open, right? So in the middle of the day, 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you feel that heat in the camp, despite the air conditioning, going full blast. And so make sure you understand that and make sure you remain yourself hydrated. Bathrooms are North American style toilets with ceramic tiles. They're handheld shower within the bathroom stall, right? Basically, everything seems good before Arafat, and after Arafat, it becomes different, right? People put stuff and, somebody will go in and take a shower in the bathroom stall and remove the ihram, and instead of hanging it over the door and throwing it in the garbage outside, they'll dump it on the floor, soggy wet. Well, consider the other person who's going to use it after you, right? Would you do this in your home? Then why are you doing it in one of the best places on earth, right? For example. So don't leave hair, because you wanted to cut your own hair and you're doing it over the sink and it clogs the sink. Clean it up afterwards. Put your ihram properly in the garbage and make sure the bathroom is usable and the sink is usable by the person after you, right? Etc., etc. So just be mindful of others, please, because that's the reason why we're all there together, right? From different parts of the world, all being called to Hajj at the same time, right? Because we're one ummah, and you see that one ummah, and you have to live that one ummah when it comes to caring and being concerned for each other. Now, what I'm going to go through, because some of the Executive A and Executive B are in Majar Al-Kabsh, and some are in Al-Moaisem, and that's because Majar Al-Kabsh got sold out and the only thing left was Al-Moaisem, and you purchased that. So what I'm going to go through is those who are in Majar Al-Kabsh. I'm going to go through the entire Manasik in Majar Al-Kabsh. Then I'm going to repeat that for those who are in Al-Moaisem. So don't get confused. You should know if you're in Majar Al-Kabsh, then pay attention to this. And if you're in Moaisem, that'll be the next section that I'll speak about. You can see the location of the camp. You can see how that shaded areas where the camps are next to King Fahad Road. And you can see how close it is to the Jamarat. And if you look on the bottom left side, it says Mena Station 3, right? So this is where the valley is the narrowest, right? Mountains on the right, mountains on the left, the narrowest. And they have built the train station on one side only. Train tracks are on one side only. And they've mandated those who are near the train station must use the train station. Here's a view. That is not a Google Map view. You can see the camp and you can see those two tunnels. As soon as you enter those tunnels, look straight through in the middle of the picture. As soon as you enter this tunnel, you actually technically have left Mena. So you're at the very edge of Mena, closer to the Haram. And so the reason why shuttle buses work for them is not because the bus comes in. They actually walk from their camp through that tunnel. It's a long tunnel on the other side. The buses are on the other side. That's how they can take the shuttle bus to their hotel. The buses don't come in. In this picture you will see, but Brother Azhar, I see all these buses because this picture was taken on the last day of Hajj, when Hajj was over. When Hajj is over, then in the afternoon, buses are allowed in to take the people out because the Hajj is over. They're going to go back to Makkah. So the buses are then allowed in at that time. And you notice the buses are allowed on one side of the road. The other side is empty because they're allowed the buses one way. They don't like to crowd, right? And you can see those who are still going to throw the stones in the Jamarat are using the ramp to go to the Jamarat. So there's stoning still happening the last day. Buses are coming in for those who have done it so they can be taken out of Mena. That's why you see the buses. Normally, if it was the 10th of Dhul Hijjah or the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, not the last day, these roads will be empty. No transportation comes in. You have to walk all the way, right? So there's a bit of more walking in Majar Al-Kabsh from that perspective, right? So when you arrive on the 8th of Zulhijjah, you offer Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha prayers in their own time, shortened, but in their own time. Pray in congregation, in your camp. The Sheikh will lead the prayers. And you spend overnight in Mena. And please, get plenty of rest because you'll need it, right? If you think forward, if you think of what is to happen, what is coming, you will realize how much rest you need to prepare for it. And it's important that you're rested. Some people will come in on the 7th of Zulhijjah from Medina and they will perform their Umrah and they'll say, let me spend the whole night in the Haram. Right? And you spend the whole night in the Haram. You don't sleep. In the morning, you go to Mena. You barely get some sleep when you get to Mena. That's not sufficient. You need to rest because what's coming up are sleepless nights, at least 2 of them in a row. Right? And this is where your immunity drops because you didn't do that in Medina when you were there. And so by the time you come to Arafat, you are sick or exhausted and you can't concentrate. You really want to save and conserve your energy for the day of Arafat. So plenty of rest. Make sure you're hydrated, right? It's going to be hot. And get ready. The day of Zulhijjah is supposed to be for getting ready. Okay? So here's a picture of what the tent looks like. This is a hallway where people walk to enter the camp, right? So the camp door will be to the left, to the right. You can see the shoe racks, not sufficient to hold the shoes. The shoes are outside. And then on the left side in Majar Al-Kabsh is basically last year's tent setup, right? You'll see these blue foam sleeper chairs. It's all folded, so it looks like a chair. But if you unfold it, right, it becomes a bed, just narrow enough to fit one person. It's about 8 to 10 inch foam bed sitting on a carpet, and there's a pillow and there's other stuff that they give out. And then, of course, you fold that up. We're having a lecture when you pray because all that happens in the same area. This is the picture from last year to give you an idea what the camp looks like. Okay. The canopy above the camp here, it's open, right? These are up, and it's like there's air ventilation going through. It's not closed. So when you're departing from Mina to Arafat, you're going to take the train, right? Al-Mashayir train. It consists of 12 cars, about 3,000 people, standing room, right? There's only so many chairs, but people stand there. And there are 3 stations in Mina, 3 in Arafat, 3 in Muzdalifah. And train will go from point to point. The station for Majar Al-Kabsh camp is station number 3. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to board the train on station 3 Mina, and I'm going to get off at station 3 Arafat. Then I'm going to get off in the evening in station 3 Muzdalifah. Then I'm going to return the next day in station 3. I'm stuck with station 3. That's the main thing. Your group will be given an allotted time to ride the train. And I'll explain that later on in the next slide. Buses are not allowed on the 9th and 10th because these people are supposed to take the train. The whole purpose of them taking away some of the real estate in Mina and building this Mashayir train tracks is so that they can reduce the congestion on the road, right? So that they don't have to use the buses. And we have to now walk to and from the train station or our camp, right? So that's the challenge for Majar Al-Kabsh. So here's a view from a Google map perspective on what it looks like. You can see where the camp is, you can see where the Jamarat is, and you can see Mina station number 3. When you get to station number 3 and you board the train, it fills up completely. The train does not stop in station 2 or station 1. It doesn't stop in Muzdalifah. It goes from Mina 3 to Arafat 3 straight. 15, 20 minutes, you're there, right? And so when they give you a time to leave, it's because they're taking everybody from Mina 3 in that time frame, after which the train no longer comes to Mina 3 for a few hours. So we have to ride the train in the time given to us. In the evening, when I board Arafat 3, I'm going to stop in Muzdalifah 3. I'm not going to stop in 1 and 2, 3 to 3. So it's point to point. That's the way the train system works. Here's a picture from last year where people had just gathered outside the camp. Right? That arch that you see is probably the entrance to the camp. And they'd gathered in the street outside and they were getting ready to walk to the train station. This is after praying Fajr, but not bright enough. In the morning, the sun had not come up and they had to walk for about 30 minutes to get to the train station, and they're all only carrying backpacks, right? And here's how you do it, right? Depends on where they direct you. You come out of your camp and you climb these buildings, that the circular buildings that you saw in the picture, and you climb all the way to the top. And that is going towards the train station, which is in the bottom left. Okay. And basically you will say, wait a minute, I if somebody needs a wheelchair or help, because that walk is about half an hour, and some places is graded. You'll be huffing and puffing. But the thing is that they have wheelchair support for those who need it, but the support is not provided anywhere near the camp. You have to get to the top somewhere. Somewhere in there is where they actually take people with wheelchairs. So if you have somebody with a wheelchair and somebody's pushing it, you have to take them all the way there before they'll put them on a golf cart and take them to the train station. When will you depart? Well, your Hajj guide will tell you that, because we don't know that. We probably won't know that until we get to Mena. So we won't know that even when you depart a month from now. Okay? So just be ready and stay in your tents. Don't crowd the main entrance. But when you do go outside, when your time comes, if you're traveling with family, make sure you're united. Make sure your wife is with you. You don't want to be in a situation where you ask the husband, where's your wife? I don't know, she probably has gone. Don't do that. Make sure you're together. Okay? And if you're planning to stay the entire night in Muzdalifah on the return, then don't take the bedding from Mina. Just take the sleeping bag, or the sleeping bag will be provided to you by the Hajj service provider. They did that successfully to everyone last year in Arafat. When we walked into Arafat, the sleeping bag was there for us. And remember, we must ride the train within the allotted times. I've had people come to me and says, brother, I'd like to go at this time. Well, we don't have a choice, right? Because that's the way they've scheduled it, right? Once you get to Arafat station, again, there's a bit of walk. Again, I will say a good 15, 20 minutes. So walk all the way from Arafat camp at the train station to the Arafat camp. There, the camp is as party-sized large tents, separate from men and women with AC units in it. There's indoor carpeting, there's outdoor carpeting as well for people to stand out there. The bathrooms are North American style toilets. They're open buffet meals, but more important for me is that you remain hydrated, right? People say, well, I'll load up some extra water bottles in my backpack around 4:30, 5 o'clock by the time the water is gone, right? So just take some extra water with you. Maybe it's a good idea to actually mix up some rehydration salt with the water with you and have that handy and sip it on the way. Because, you think that Arafat is a long day and you didn't have a good sleep in Mina because you were there packed next to each other and you didn't get proper sleep and you had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's, God forbid, if you didn't sleep on the 7th because you did Umrah and you chose to spend the whole night in the Haram, you'll be tired. If you didn't sleep on the 7th of Hajj, you didn't sleep properly in the 8th, what's coming up is going to be even more physically tiring for you. That's why you have to think through. When I say pace yourself and get rested, you can catch a 1 hour sleep here and there, just catch it. Just get used to be able to do that, right? So this is what it looks like. This is a close enough picture for me to share with you. That when you walk into the camp in Arafat, it looks something like this. You see the foam sleeper chair? When you walk in there, I can almost see the sleeping bags sitting on top of it, right? So when you walk in there, it'll be in the morning. Let's say if you left after Fajr or before Fajr. So what you do is you rest. Pull this out and go sleep. Get up at 10 o'clock, 10:30. Just get up at 10, 10:30, walk into the bathroom before the bathroom gets crowded, use the bathroom, make your wudu, and then come back and sit down, fold it up and sit down, because your salah will be held right here. The picture on the right side is either people coming in the morning or they're just getting ready for the afternoon, right? So that's where you fold it up and you get ready for salah. Because salah and Dhuhr Nasr, as well as the khutbah of Arafat is held here. Remember, brothers and sisters, this is the day you're prepared for. This is the day where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down from above 7 heaven to the lower heavens and looks at all of you and all of us and says to the angels, why are they here? Right? And so this is the day where the Prophet ﷺ said there is no other day in the entire year when most people are forgiven and saved from the punishment of the fire than the day of Arafat. And you will be part of that. You'll be rehearsing the day of judgment. You'll be rehearsing by putting on your shroud. The two pieces of cloth is the shroud that you get buried in. You're rehearsing the standing before Allah, as one day we all will stand before Allah. And so for that, you need the presence of mind and presence of heart. That's what I meant by pace yourself. Get rested. You don't want to be sleeping in the afternoon because you're so tired. And some people will say, brother, can I go out to the Jabal? Why? The Prophet ﷺ said, all of Arafat is a place of standing. Not everybody can fit in the Jabal. Why do you want to go out in the heat and come back or get lost? Because remember, the whole activity starts at Zawal time. So rest in the morning, prepare for the afternoon, have presence of mind. After the prayers are over, you'll have time for individual supplication as well as group supplications. You can do it standing in your tent. You can go outside. Some of the trees are mature that you might find some shaded area. Or you can do it in the tent in the morning, in the afternoon, and late in the afternoon, you go outside. But stay within the gated compound. Right? We'll have group supplications towards late afternoon. Somebody makes dua in Jama'ah. Some people prefer to have a person lead them in Jama'ah. Some people say, I don't even know what this person is saying. I'll rather make my own. There's no written prescription for it. The main thing is you're pouring your heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First of all, you're expressing your gratitude for this honor bestowed upon you. For a Hajj that is successful, the reward is no less than Jannah. The Prophet ﷺ said, the one Hajj that is accepted. Right, so what are you prepared for your name to be written as inhabitants of Jannah? What are you prepared for you to return back completely free of sins? Right? Have a presence of heart and mind. That's why there is no prescribed dua. It's what you pour out from your heart. Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thanking for the honor bestowed upon you. Seek His forgiveness, seek forgiveness for your parents, seek forgiveness for your siblings, and for the community in general. Ask for the best of this dunya. There's no specific thing to ask for. But remember the one thing that the Prophet ﷺ said when he said, I and those before me said this on the day of Arafat. The best thing you can say on that day is, La ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulku wa lahul hamd. We say it because we were taught this when we were kids, but I want you to go and read the meaning of it. It is so powerful affirmation of your belief in the one and only one Lord. It is very powerful. Tears should come to your eyes when you're standing in Arafah and you're proclaiming this, as if you're standing on the day of judgment and saying there is none worthy of worship except you. Right? So I want you to understand and start to visualize what their day looks like. I want you to prepare your heart for the journey from here on. As such, you need to soften your heart. You need to seek forgiveness of those that you have harmed. You need to build relationship where you have broken the relationship among your siblings. You need to seek the blessings of your parents and seek the permission for this trip. It's all part of creating a sound heart. This is a rehearsal of the day of judgment. For one day we'll stand before Allah, and Allah mentions this in the Quran when He says, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالُ وَلَا بَنُونَ. On that day you will not be able to benefit from your wealth or from your children. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Except for the one who comes to me with a sound heart. Do you have a sound heart? Does the journey start now? How do you prepare your heart for this journey? I can't do this. I can answer your logistical questions and your administrative questions, but you need to actually internalize your heart. You need to actually look at yourself and say how you are. And you're going to stand there and say, Allah, forgive me. Have you forgiven others? Oh, Allah, have mercy on me. Are you merciful to others? So it's important that you actually prepare your heart for this journey. And then when you do that and you stand before Him, man, I tell you, the du'as come in your heart. Allah inspires you to ask that which He wants to grant to you. Right? That's what is required. And that requires you to be alert. Right? That's why I ask you to, pace yourself. Just make sure you're rested. Make sure you're ready for this important day. You'll spend the entire day, you'll be exhausted by the end of the day. It'll be hot, and then we'll move on. We'll go for Muzdalifah. The journey is not over yet. The physical stress is just about to start. More so than we had in Arafat. We'll leave after Maghrib. We're supposed to leave within our allotted time, but nobody listens to that, right? Because not everybody can all go from that one area, all end up going to Station 3. Station 3 has only so much capacity. The trains come every so often. They don't come on a regular basis one by one every 2 minutes. So what happens? There's a lineup, even trying to get to the train station. When you get to the train station, there's a lineup just to get to the platform. Right? We'll advise you. What tends to happen is people drop off. They actually faint because they're afraid of drinking too much. I don't want to go to the bathroom, Muzdalifah. Brothers and sisters, stay hydrated. You don't want to eat, fine. If you're diabetic and you need to eat, eat something. Take snacks or energy bars. Don't worry about the sugar level because you're already getting beaten up by the heat and the exhaustion. Consult your physician. But do eat, if you're required to be eat because you're diabetic, and do drink a lot. And sometimes, prepare that, fluid with the hydration salt so you can sip it. Trust me, there are long lineups at the train station, right? And that is in Arafat going to Muzdalifah and Muzdalifah going to Mena. Literally, when you're in the station, there is a ramp to the platform. Sometimes you're standing in the ramp for an hour, just inching your way to the platform, right? And people do faint because they have not been drinking. They have not been taking care of themselves. There's no one else to take care of you except yourself. So remain hydrated when you're standing. One of the things I'll tell you that if you're elderly, if you have issues standing for that long, that you may want to take a stool with you. I've seen people buy the collapsible stool from Amazon. I don't know how good that is, right? And they actually use it because you're standing there for 10, 15 minutes and then walk a little bit, then you stand another 10 minutes. So it becomes too much, right? Because no place else to sit. You may want to take a stool with you, only to be used here. So you can sit on the stool when you're not moving too far, right? Remember that. When you get to Muzdalifah, you still have to walk from the train station to the area that we're going to be staying. And this is where people get confused because I am going to go, let's say you're in my group and I have 45 people in my group, 50 people in my group. We'll all walk into the train station and not everybody can get in through one gate, one door to the train. So we're split up. Half of us got in, half of us didn't get in. And when you get to the other side, he goes, oh, wait a minute, where's my guide? Well, first of all, you should always travel as a family. If you're going as a family, either all of you get on the train or none of you get on the train. Right? Try not to split up if you can. But there's enough people, will be enough sign with Seera sign, flag, something will be given out later on, that when you get to Muzdalifah and your guide is not there because he couldn't get on the train, just follow the sign. If we have the ability to send you a pin drop to where the camp is located outside the train station, we'll send you that pin drop. And that's why you need to have a phone that is always connected outside the Wi-Fi zone. But you'll walk over to that area, which is carpeted. But what tends to happen is early people come in and they make the wudu, they pray, Maghrib and Isha congregation, they eat something, they'll put their sleeping bag down and they go to sleep. And sometimes they're not considerate of others when occupying space. They're taking too much space. Pebbles can be collected, but the last couple of years, the pebbles were supplied to us. We didn't have to even collect any, right? And then you get some sleep and you use the bathroom. Please don't go to the bathroom by yourself. It's very symmetrical. I mean, you think that, oh, I can see the bathroom. But when you get to the bathroom, you look back, where did I come from? Which direction did I come from? This is more true for Al-Moaisem, but even Majar Al-Kabsh. When you're going to the bathroom, go as a twosome or a threesome and wait for each other so you can come back, inshallah, right? Now, I'll share with you the picture. This is what it looked like last year. Walk in there, and these are styrofoam containers that has drinks in it, right? Some people have already arrived, and on the wall that you see on there are numbers. These are group numbers. So the men are here, and if you look to the right side, you will see a half wall, and the women are on the other side. So men on this side, women on the other side. You walk in there, and you find your space, and this is where you have to use space efficiently. Be considerate for the others, but that's not what it looks like. As each group comes in, each train comes in, towards the end, it becomes like this or even more crowded, right? And that building that you see behind, that beige color building, the ivory color building, that's where the bathrooms are, right? So it's not accessible to the camp. You have to go outside the camp to access it. And remember, there are other people on the other side as well. So this is just a snapshot of what Muzdalifah looks like, and you put on the sleeping bag, and that's where you sleep. Once you finish your prayers and you get to sleep, there will be two departures. It is wajib that you stay till Fajr, except for those who were excused by the Prophet ﷺ. And those who were excused and were allowed to leave in the middle of the night were the women and the children and the elderly and the weak and the sick. They were allowed to leave in the middle of the night. So there'll be two departures. Those who are leaving in the middle of the night and those, normally majority, will be staying till Fajr. Make sure you're in the correct group, right? Your group. So some guides will leave with those in the middle of the night. Some guides will stay back. It may not be your guide, but as long as the guide is taking you to the same camp, it should be okay. right? You're with the correct group. You cannot change your mind halfway through after the middle of the night group leaves and half an hour later says, oh, I'm done. I like to go now. There's nobody there to take you, right? So stay or go. And that decision has to be made at the time, not afterwards. If you do leave after Fajr in the middle of the night, you'll see how you come back to the main train station number 3. There's a long ramp to go through, and the ramp will force you to go through the Jamarat. So there is Jamratul Sughra, the small one, and the middle one, Wusta, and then Kubra. On that day, which is the day of Eid, you're returning from Muzdalifah, you throw 7 stones in Jamratul Kubra and you bear right. Don't go straight, don't go left. We'll repeat this instruction later on. Going straight and left will get you lost. Right? Go bear right and take any one of those circular buildings on the right side. There's 2 of them. Go downstairs and you'll find your camp nearby. Right? So those 2 circular buildings that you see, right? The word Al-Baik's right below Al-Baik and the one next to it. You go north. There's a circular building on the other side. You take north side elevators and escalators and you come down and back to your camp. Now that you're back in your camp, the day of Eid, you have done your stoning that day, which is only in Jamratul Aqaba. You have to go to Mena. Sorry, you have to make the Tawaf al-Ifada or at least go to your hotel. So that schedule will be provided to you. Right? You can actually then transfer by walking again. Walking where? By walking from the camp through that tunnel that you see. On the other side, there'll be buses. And we'll tell you if the buses are there or not, because the buses are not always there. And you'll walk through, and then you'll take the bus to your hotel. And this is where you'll find a barber there, if you didn't find the barber in the camp, to cut your hair, shower, and change. Right? I say to you, perform Tawaf al-Ifada while in Makkah. Most people don't. Most people are so exhausted that after the shower and change, they crash in their bed. But they have to get up after Asr and they have to return because it's required of you to spend at least half or more of the night in Mena. It is required. It's part of Hajj. So the bus will bring you back before Maghrib on the same day. And it brings you back to that same area and you have to walk through the tunnel back in to the camp. You'll have your evening meal in the camp. Okay? And then once you stay there in the evening, they'll have some lectures. You've already done the stoning for that day. After half the night is gone, you'll be offered a ride back to your hotel. Right? Again, walk through the tunnel and take the bus and go to your hotel. This is the time when people will do Tawaf al-Ifada. They'll just go back to the hotel, make wudu, go make Tawaf al-Ifada, and pray Fajr and come back, have breakfast, sleep, get up, pray Asr, Zuhr, and around Asr time will bring you back to Mena. Again, you have to spend the night in Mena. This is the 11th of Dhul Hijjah. You haven't done the stoning for the 11th of Dhul Hijjah yet. So when you come to Mena, then you go to Rami Jamarat. And you don't go by yourself. Your guide will tell you how to go as a group. And you do Rami Jamarat, you pray Maghrib, you pray Isha, you have dinner, you have lecture, you stay overnight. You're not going back after half the night here. Because next day the Hajj is over. So you spend overnight. And how do you do Rami Jamarat? You come out of the camp and you take this escalator number 1 to whatever level is open. You walk through this ramp, not on the top floor, any one of the floors. There's 4 floors. And stop with the small Jamarat, throw 7 stones, make some dua on the one side. And the middle one, so 7 stones, make another dua. And then the last one, and then you make a right and take Mena north. And you do that, and you have done the stoning for the 11th of Dhul Hijjah. On the last day, you'll do Rami Jamarat and all 3 Jamarat. And that will be the end of Manasik of Hajj. And you return to your Makkah hotel, your Hajj is complete. The only thing left to do is the farewell tawaf. Again, the timing of it, what time to do it, how to do it, where's the bus, all that will come later. But these are the activities you'll do that day. And your guide will provide you the schedule and when to return. Okay? That's the end of the Manasik of Hajj for those who are staying in Majar Al-Kabsh. Now I'm going to repeat this thing for those who are staying in Al-Moaisem camp. And you can see how different that is. Okay? Again, I want to take a view. You can see that Moaisem is nowhere near the exit to Mena. Camp A, Majar Al-Kabsh, you can see these 2 roads that disappear into the mountain, and that's the end of Mena. So that's why you have the advantage of getting out of Mena and taking the bus. And they don't have that advantage. So on the day you arrive by bus from your hotel, you'll pray Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha in congregation, stay in overnight, get rested, Then again, stay hydrated on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. This is what the Mena accommodation looks like in Moaisem. This is taken from last year. This is the walkway, right? This is the camp. This is a good example of the camp. You can see that blue. This is the foam sleeper chair when it is extended to become a bed. So the heads are on the right side. So head will be towards the walls, right? And the feet will be in the middle. You can see if everybody puts their bedding down, how difficult it is to walk through. That's how tight it is. So your hand carry luggage and your backpack is standing on this luggage rack that you see above. This is the metal luggage rack. That's where they'll go. Okay? And that's the accommodation. This canopy is a tent. It's open from the middle, even though there's air conditioning in where the doors are, but it still gets fairly warm. And so when the time comes for prayers, the imam can be standing in one place. Everybody will make congregational prayers. Then he'll be standing in one place giving the lecture. And that's a view of how it is in Al-Moaisem. Going from Mena to Arafat, as I said, it's controlled by the government. It's shuttle buses. The schedule is developed by the government with the Hajj service providers. And then to transfer the pilgrim, it's rotational buses. And so you will be told when to go to your area to board the bus to go to Arafat. You'll have to wait for your turn from transfer to Arafat. It'll be according to program. Your guide will tell you exactly what the time is going to be, and you don't need to take your carry-on luggage with you. Just the backpack, right? Because hand carry stays. You're going in Haram, coming back in Haram, you don't need to change your clothes. Your valuables are in the safety deposit box in the hotel, so you don't need that. Your passport is not there. It's in the hotel, right? So you're taking your prayer mat, your Quran, your dua book, your medicine, your power bank, your energy snack bars, and your sleeping bag. Why am I saying sleeping bag? If you're staying the night in Mena, somebody pointed out to me, the one who's been working on Al-Moaisem camp, the last year, the last few people that came in their shuttle from Arafat to Muzdalifah, there were no sleeping bags left for them. And amazingly, even though the area is carpeted, the way the area was used, there was no carpeted area either. So it was very uncomfortable for them to spend the night. So that's why it is suggested to consider, even though they're supposed to provide it, it's suggested to consider to take a cheap 2-pound filling sleeping bag with you. So you can actually have your own space. If you find that the people are misusing the carpeted area, that you'll find some other place, even if it's the raw floor ground, you can at least put your sleeping bag down and get some sleep. Trust me, you're tired by now. You've had a long day in Arafat. You had a long evening shuttling back to Muzdalifah. You didn't probably have you want to have some sleep in Muzdalifah. And so you want to make sure you have some place where you can put yourself down. So this is a picture of a holding area so that people don't run, 300 people running because one bus is coming. So they'll have you come in here and the rest of the people stay away. And when the bus comes in, they open the door towards the road. And then only these people can go in and board the bus. The camps are the same, large tents, to accommodate the pilgrims, indoor carpeting, North American style toilet. They give you boxed lunch and make sure you have plenty of drinks. Keep some in your backpack so that you remain hydrated. So here's what the Arafat accommodations kind of look like. You've seen this picture already. This is from Al-Moaisem camp as well. And again, I mentioned already, this is the day for you to pour your heart out. This is the day you need to be alert. This is the day you need to have your presence of mind and presence of your heart. So do not sleep in the afternoon. So think about this day and think about how you need to prepare the days before that. How much rest you should get. You get 2 hours of sleep, do that. I used to set the alarm for 40 minutes. Fajr is in 40 minutes, but I'll just sleep for 40 minutes. Right? So I'll do my best. And you kind of put your mind to being able to do that. Right? If it's in the afternoon and you're tired and no prayers are going to be held, go ahead, pull your a foam sleeper chair and crash. Doesn't matter. Right? Because you need to have that rest as such. And again, don't go outside. You don't need to go to Masjid Nimra. All of the place of Arafah is a place of standing. The khutbah will be delivered in your camp. And you can stand and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your camp. People want to go outside. Some of them insist on going outside. And then we get these messages, brother, I don't know where I am. I'm lost. They finally find the way back to the camp, only to find out that they're actually dozing off because they've been outside in the heat, in the sun, and they're exhausted. Right? You don't want to do that. When you are given the ability to stand anywhere in Arafat and pray, then stand anywhere in Arafat and pray. Right? It's important that you understand what's been given to you. It's going to be hard. You'll depart again on shuttle schedule. You'll be given an allotted time. And there could be considerable wait. So you think, I have to leave after Maghrib. Well, Maghrib has already happened. My turn is not coming. Isha has already started. I'm still in Arafat. Yes, some people actually leave Arafat at 10 o'clock at night, even though Maghrib happened at 6 something, because their turn just came. But they have roads that are meant for these shuttle services, so they're pretty good. But when you get there sometimes, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? To Muzdalifah to pray Maghrib and Isha. And so we'll tell you when it is, right? The transportation is not in our control, not in the service provider's control. But your job is that you remain hydrated, right? Stay with the group. Always stay with the group. In case you fall asleep, there's somebody there to wake you up, right? It's separate area provided by Hajj service providers. It is carpeted, but trust me, people don't listen to that. They just are not considerate of others. This is us. This is not them. This is not how we're organized. What we're trying to organize versus what people do are two separate things. But what you need to do as soon as you get there is pray Maghrib and Isha. You'll have boxed meal, and then you sleep. And then, of course, again, I will say this is the part where definitely the worst place to get lost. If you're going to the bathroom, you can see where the bathroom is. But when you get to the bathroom, you cannot tell where you came from. Go as a twosome or a threesome. Okay? I'll give you, I don't want to scare you, but here it is. This is what it looked like when people were there. Can you see that picture? Right? Everywhere. They're everywhere. Everywhere they can find spot, they're there. They're taking more than their spot. Some are praying. You can see there's a person doing jama'ah right there in the top middle part of the picture. These people they just came in. They're making their own jama'ah to pray, Maghrib and Isha. And others have already prayed. They're already fast asleep. So it depends on where they're getting in. Right? There's no one central jama'ah. So those who come in afterwards, they're looking for space to put down the sleeping bag. And worse off is, what if there is no sleeping bag? And they say, I'm sorry, we're out. So this is why I'm suggesting, it looks like, why do I have to take it when they're providing it? Well, you don't have to take it, but this is simply my suggestion because you don't want to be without it when you're there. Right? Here's another one. Somebody's sleeping here, right? And look at this one, the last one. You'll see the men are sleeping. You see some women in the middle, right? Somebody asked me this question in the last webinar. Well, how come men and women are mixed? It's because the women do have a separate area. But either the men say, well, I don't want my wife to be there. I want my mother to be there. They're going to get lost. Or the women will say, no, we're going to get lost. We're nervous. We want to be with our husband. So that's what happens. That's what we do to ourselves, right? What I mean by be considerate of others as such. You are there as the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just leave it at that. If Allah wants to test you, no matter what anybody does, you will be tested. You have that faith, then trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And do what you need to do. Have your presence of mind, presence of heart. Normally you pray Fajr prayer in congregation and you depart for Mena after Fajr, right? People say, what about those who are allowed to depart in the middle of the night? Well, see, this is a shuttle bus service, right? So you don't have a one bus to one group ratio. So the buses are dropping you off and leaving. And I don't know how many buses are parked outside nearby that we can say, let's designate 2 or 3 buses for those who are going to leave in the middle of the night. It's too early to say that will happen. Majority end up staying in Fajr, till Fajr time. But if there are buses available and there's decision made that few buses will go in the middle of the night, you will only know it when you are there, not before. You will not even know it in Arafat because we don't know where the buses will be parked when they're finally through. Because they're still shuttling people from Arafat to Muzdalifah, right? And you just make sure you go there and you stay with your group. Men with their group, women with their group. Make sure you're communicating with each other on the phone and your own WhatsApp back and forth. So you're together. You depart together. You travel from Mena to Arafat together. You travel from Arafat to Muzdalifah together. Families are together. Now what tends to happen here is you're going to be again given a shuttle schedule from Muzdalifah back to Mena. Some people don't wait for their schedule. They decide to walk. They're going to walk all the way back to their camp in Mena because they can't wait for the shuttle schedule. That has also happened, by the way. I don't want to scare you. I want to give you the reality of what happens. Once you get to your camp, You have to throw 7 stones in Jamratul Kubra. That's the day of Eid, right? And then normally you have to throw stones for 3 stones, 3 Jamarat on the 11th and the 12th as well. Well, it can be crowded at times, and we'll tell you when best to go. And this is where it takes really long to actually get there, right? So take an umbrella and stay hydrated. And here's your camp, and here's how you get to the Jamarat. There is a tunnel through the mountain. All the dark area is the mountain, tunnel through the mountain. So most of them is covered in tunnel, but it's still an hour or longer to walk one way to get to the Jamarat. Okay? Here's a closer view. So this is where the tunnel through the mountain opens up, where the arrow is. You come out and you actually throw the stones, the small one, the middle one, the last one, bear right, go back through the tunnel, back to the camp. It's a longer walk, 3 times on the 10th, 11th, and the 12th. Okay. Tawaf al-Ifada, or you'll say, I'm in non-shifting. I have my hotel. How do I get there? Again, it's controlled by the Saudi authorities. The buses cannot enter. And so you have to wait for them. Even if they actually allowed the people to go to the haram on buses, it was not to the specific hotel. The buses dropped them in the haram. So you have to know where to go to the haram to catch the bus back. It's not to Swiss Hotel, it's not to Fairmont, right? Unlike Majar Al-Kabsh, where you can take the bus to the hotel. This is to the haram. So it'll be scheduled by them. They will tell us when. Your Hajj guide will tell you, okay, let's go for Harami Jamarat, let's go for Tawaf al-Ifada. And some people don't make Tawaf al-Ifada on the day of Eid, which is fine, right? You can still come out of Ihram without Tawaf al-Ifada, as long as you have thrown the stones and offered the sacrifice. You are going to go to the Jamarat and come back to your camp and you're done. And maybe the next morning you will go and to make Tawaf al-Ifada, right? So all that is based on the schedule, and you'll work it out with your Hajj guide and what is best to do. But remember, you have to come back. Even if you do end up going to your hotel, you have to come back because it's wajib for you to spend the nights in Mena, or at least half the night, which is why I suggested that you take your change of clothes with you to Mena in case you choose to be in Mena and not go to your hotel, or you go to the hotel the first time but not be able to go to the second time, right? Because you're going for Tawaf al-Ifada. They'll give you the bus to the haram because they think you're going for Tawaf al-Ifada, not to your hotel room. You want the next day, they'll say, sorry, there's no Tawaf al-Ifada, you should have done it. That's why people do Tawaf al-Ifada either on the 10th or early morning of the 11th. Again, none of this will be known now. I'm just giving you what options people go through. You'll only know it when you're there, the day before. So on the 11th day of Dhul Hijjah, you'll perform Rami Jamarat on all 3 Jamarat. You'll stay overnight. Okay. If you didn't make Tawaf al-Ifada on the 10th, you'll do it on the 11th, right? And then, of course, on the last day, the timing of it, all that will be provided to you by your Hajj guide. You'll be doing your final Rami Jamarat and all through Rami Jamarat, and then take your belongings. When they open up the area for the buses to start coming in to pick you up, that'll be decided on that day so you can return back to your hotel. Once you're in the hotel on the 12th, you still have a couple of days left before your return flight, so you'll stay there and you will repack. You'll perform Tawaf al-Wada, will give you time. General rule of thumb is about 13 hours before your flight departure time, you finish your Tawaf al-Wada. Sometimes people do it even earlier than that. And then you'll transfer to Jeddah airport. The specific timing for all of that will be provided to you by your Hajj guide when you're there, and that will be the end of your Hajj. So that is the total itinerary, including the Manasik, until we return flight. Now, I wanted to give you some updates that is happening now, just to give you an idea before I open it up to questions. What is happening with custom flights, not group flights, not the flights from USA, Canada, UK, just those who book through Musafir, right? That Qatar Airways, I think, are canceling some, changing some of those custom flights. And in case you're one of those that are affected by these custom flights, they would have probably offered you a new flight. If they did, if they offered you a new flight, you have 2 choices. If your new flight is compatible with your package, in other words, you're showing up 2 hours later or 3 hours later, still showing up, If you're coming on the 4th of Zulhijjah, you have to still come in maximum until midnight of 4th of Zulhijjah. If it is compatible, you're happy with it, just go ahead and accept it. If you're not happy with it, then just basically wait, don't accept it, and we'll have to work with your Hajj team to secure a better option. But regardless of your flight being canceled, the new being offered, it is important that we understand what flight you selected. Extremely important to know when to pick you up and when to drop you off from the airport, right, to the airport and the hotel. So you have to share your selection with your Hajj services team via email, giving out the new flight that you actually chose. So that's only for those with custom flights. Those with the group flights, inshallah, the tickets will be issued and being sent out somewhere around the 15th or the 18th or 19th of April. So don't worry about it. Group flights are so far so good, but not custom flights. They're making some changes. They're rescheduling some flights. They're canceling some flights. So this is the option for those who have custom flight, not group flights. Hajj visas are happening now. People are beginning to receive Hajj visas. It will come to you in your email inbox. We anticipate all the visas should be issued by April 17th. But please do check your spam folder besides which email is it? The email that you provided to Nusul. That's the email to which your visa is being sent. But also check your spam folder on a regular basis. Sometimes it goes to your spam folder. And if you don't receive it by April 18th, then reach out to your Hajj services agent so we can start the inquiry process. Right? These are the two updates that I wanted to give you at this time. And as more updates come through, we'll do that. There will be one more session with the executive A and B, and that will be specifically, inshallah, to introduce your Hajj guides, and that's probably the next session later on in April, inshallah. So that's all I have for you, and I honestly believe that this is an honor that Allah has granted you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala complete that honor to have you as His guest to visit His sacred house and to complete the Hajj with both ease and safety. And may Allah accept from you every effort that you have made and you continue to make towards performing Hajj, and all the money you've spent. Everything you spent, by the way, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala considered that as sadaqah. So you're spending money, but it's counted as sadaqah. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with you in this dunya and the akhirah, brothers and sisters. I've taken an hour and a half to get to this point, and hopefully this is of help to you. I'm going to stop sharing. Let me tell you that if you started asking me a question in the chat folder, I'm not going to look at the chat folder because it just rolls and I can't track it. I am going to open up the Hajj Q&A folder, and I want you to ask your questions in the Hajj Q&A folder. As I said in the beginning of the presentation, that wait till the end of the presentation, and I know people are just eager and they start asking questions in the chat folder. I really won't be looking at the chat folder at all. I'm going to give it some time before I started answering the question on the Q&A folder, inshallah. Okay. Okay. I live in Qatar and I'm Canadian. My Hajj package has custom flight through Bahrain. Due to the current situation, am I able to just not show for the plane ticket and either drive or fly directly using a separate ticket booked outside Nusuk to go to Medina? Will my Hajj visa allow me entry and exit? Honestly speaking, brother, we are not sure whether you'll be able to drive instead of the flight that you chose and just have a no-show on your flight. What I would ask you to do is just wait. When the dust settles a little bit, and we'll have a better answer. We're in communication with them to find out what to do and how to handle this, where the flight is being affected and people are choosing other option, can they choose on their own, whether it's drive or whether taking another flight? We don't have a clear answer. So just wait and there'll be further communication, inshallah, on this for those who are taking custom flight, inshallah. Okay, but the Firas, you're asking me about the difference in ihram between tamattu and qiran. You said for tamattu, we make the ihram from Medina only for Umrah, and then at Makkah, we make the ihram for Hajj on the 8th. How can that be right? When ihram for Hajj must be from the miqat. The right wording for a person doing Hajj tamattu is labbaik Allahumma umratan biha ila al-Hajj. So, very simple, akhi. You can ask this question in the fiqh of Umrah and Hajj session, but I can tell you that once you are doing Hajj and you've done the Umrah already in a separate ihram, the Prophet ﷺ instructed his companions who came with him for his Hajj that if you have not performed, if you've not brought your sacrificial animals with you, break your ihram. And so they did tamattu. So they actually put on the ihram from the place of the residence in Mecca. You don't have to go to the miqat. Miqat is only when you're coming into Mecca for the first time. Once you're inside the Mecca and you've done your Umrah, you're out of ihram, then you basically start your put your ihram for the Hajj only from the place of your residence, as was done by the companions who were with the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, and now again, I'll ask you to ask this question in the fiqh of Hajj session. That'll be better, but that has been my understanding for over 30 years. Where can I find all the Zoom recordings? The Zoom recordings are I've shared the link, and if I have let's see who's there here. Yeah, it's in the we'll post it in the WhatsApp group, inshallah. We'll post it in the WhatsApp group where the recording is. Let's see if I can quickly find it here. Just a second. Okay, just chat to everyone. Subhanallah, where did it go? Bear with me, please. So this is the link. I put it in the chat session, the link for you to go in, and there are separate sections in there for looking at the Hajj recording, inshallah. Can we do either Hajj Qiran or Tamattu? Yes, you can. And ask that question of the Sheikh, inshallah. You can do either of them because you're coming on the 7th and Hajj starts on the 8th. You can do either, but ask the Sheikh when in the fiqh session. Most people who are coming in that late normally end up doing Qiran, but then there are those who insist on Tamattu. It can be either, but ask that question in the fiqh session. Assalamu alaikum. Will there be medical assistance during all Hajj places? Sister Sarah, we had a medical session yesterday. The recording of that can be found in our Hajj Guidance Network. There'll be another session in May. We'll have physicians traveling with us. We'll be in Medina and Makkah. We'll also be in Mena, in Al-Moaisem and Majar Al-Kabsh. And if need be for you to go to a clinic, all that can be arranged over there, inshallah. What is your recommended way to buy the Adahi and when to buy it? Brother Ahmed, we're actually working with the Hajj service providers as to what the option is for Adahi. We have not ignored it. You're not the only one. There are literally hundreds of people in the same boat. If you can just bear with me, for us, inshallah, we'll actually give you instructions on how to buy Adahi and how that will be done once we have that finalized. So you still have time, okay? We do not have group flight tickets assigned. Yes, we are aware. The tickets are being issued slowly, one by one, but hopefully our target is somewhere around April the 19th. We should be able to actually start sending out the group tickets. Brother Ghaffar, I just answered the question about Adai, so I'm not repeating that. How do we know when Adai is completed, take off ihram and to do ghusl? This is a fiqh question. Some will tell you it's not required for you to know when Adai is done, because when they do it in Saudi Arabia in their special sacrifice place where they actually start sacrificing from the sunrise of the 10th of Dhul Hijjah till the sunset of the 13th. They actually go through some 900,000 animals, right? And so they'll tell you, you don't need to know that is when it is done. Others will insist, I need to know. So it depends on what the arrangement is, generally speaking, with the arrangement that is being made to know whether you will find out the timing or not. But what your question is, do I need to know before I take off the ghusl? If not, what are the preconditions? That's the question you need to ask at the fiqh session, right? What happens if you don't know when the will be done? What do you do? So once we figure out what the adhai is, and we're going to tell you that, some places we've arranged it where the guy said, I will let you know when it's done, and some places they don't let you know, right? But your question is, do you need to know, right? That's the part that people have gone both ways. There are two different rulings on that. But if we have arranged it through, for example, the Saudi sponsored slaughterhouse, they don't tell you the timing as such, right? So again, it's just being worked on for the adai, and only then we will know whether the person that's arranged through will be able to tell you time or not. I'm not going to tell you about this wearing face mask in the state of ihram. That's a fiqh question. When should we purchase our domestic ticket? Once you get your international ticket. Don't do it before then. And please allow sufficient time between your domestic flight and the international departure time. I say allow 5 hours, right? You make sure you can land in your airport for domestic, claim your luggage, and walk over. Allow them some time, please. But don't do it now until you get your ticket in your hand. We get out of ihram on the 10th of Zulhijjah, so men can wear shalwar kameez? Yes. Once you get out of ihram, you can wear any clothes that you normally would wear. So tawaf al-ifada can be in normal clothes. It doesn't have to be in ihram. My flight lands on the 21st at 22:30 p.m. What time should I expect to be in Medina? So you're landing at 10:30. I would say by the time you finish all the processing, depending on how many flights are before you, the biggest delay is in passport control. I would say 1 o'clock, 1:30, 3 hours. That's my guess. Again, people are asking me fiqh questions that should be reserved for the session. As I said earlier on, there is a spiritual track, there is a logistical track. Do we need to do sa'i as well for tawaf al-ifada and wada, or only tawaf? Please ask this question in the fiqh session. I'd appreciate that. Sister Sabine, if you missed a few sessions, as I said, from the logistical perspective, we had webinar on Majar Al-Kabsh and on Al-Moaisem last weekend. Attend that one. This is another one, and the third one coming up, and there are lots of spiritual ones. Just make sure you're aware of the schedule. Regarding sacrifice, you have not purchased this through Nusuk? I don't think anybody did. We will be providing you some guidance on when to purchase. When that is finalized, we have that in our radar because many, if not all, have not purchased. Definitely will let you know. Is train from Medina to Makkah a guarantee? This is the plan. Nothing is a guarantee. This is the plan that we're going to take the train, and inshallah it will work. It worked last year, it worked the year before. Inshallah it'll work this year. If we're arriving in Medina on the morning of the 23rd, hold on a second. How can you be arriving in Medina on the morning of the 23rd? Is it possible to keep one piece of checked luggage with us to take on the train for any goods we may purchase in Medina? But the Zuhair, are you sure you're arriving in Medina on the morning of the 23rd and that's considered a Hajj flight? It's important for us to know that. Are you taking Saudi Airlines? Again, connect with the service rep. They will be able to explain to you because there is a deadline for when last Hajj flights can land. Definitely a deadline for when last Hajj flights can land. So morning of the 23rd is the 6th of Zulhijjah. you're coming in one day before. It has to be Saudi Airlines. It cannot be any other airlines because you're supposed to come in, all must come in by the 21st. So again, I would say that's a special question that you've asked. We need to know your circumstances. And as I said, as far as taking the luggage with you on the train is concerned, if you go and look at Haramain high-speed train, you will see there is restriction. You're allowed to carry one suitcase, but it's the medium-sized suitcase weighing no more than 23 kilograms. You're not allowed to carry the normal suitcase that we take in the plane with us. But again, if you do carry the normal suitcase, you may have to pay for it. But that's why we make it convenient, right? As far as the flight is concerned, if it's the 23rd, it has to be Saudi Airlines. You can please contact your Hajj services agent to get confirmation on that. Lots of question about how can I make sacrifice. We will let you know what arrangements are being made for sacrifice for everyone. Okay, so I'm going to stop answering question about sacrifice. It's not been finalized, but we'll let you know. How practical is it to travel back and forth between Majar Al-Kabsh and the hotel regularly? People ask for it. They say, well, I have an unshifting. I like to do that. So generally speaking, what people will do is they'll probably do it on the day they're coming back from Muzdalifah. And when they come back to the camp, they just stick around. They just don't want to go back to Majar Al-Kabsh. But it's a lot of walking, a lot of bus waits, you're stuck in traffic for the bus to actually even get there. But people have done it. Others want to actually spend time in Muzdalifah. Even though they have the hotel room, they will say, can I take my carry-on with me? I like to stay there. I like to just come to the haram in my hotel to make tawaf al-ifada and then go back, and I like to stay and spend the entire night in Mena. It's really up to you, but it can be done. Are there any special accommodation in Muzdalifah for the elderly who have trouble laying on the ground or getting up from the ground? Brother Omar, there are no special accommodations in Muzdalifah, unfortunately. Unfortunately, there are none. Now, you have to actually have that dealt with in Arafat with your Hajj guide, as to whether some people who have this difficulty can even stay in Muzdalifah as such, or can there be a special arrangements for such people to take the bus all the way from Arafat and straight to Mena, for example. I know you're going to skip Muzdalifah, and some people say, I don't want to skip Muzdalifah. If you don't want to skip Muzdalifah, then there's no accommodations for somebody who cannot lay on the ground as such. It's really bare land. They just put some carpet on it as such. Unfortunately, it's not an answer that I can give at this time. But the Ghaffar Seera group will book the appointment for Rauda. That's what they've said that they will do for the Rauda. But we also want you to actually download the Nusuk app, not Nusuk website, where you bought the Hajj package. It is an app called Nusuk for both Android and for Apple. Download that and use your Visa number to register. And if you're already on the Nusuk app and it allows you to book a Rauda appointment during the days you'll be in Medina, just go ahead and book it. What will happen is that you'll use that appointment. And if you don't get it, we'll still try to get the group one. If you get both, you'll get to go to the Rauda twice. But yes, they are supposed to provide us with the group booking. Any questions about sacrifice? I'm not answering because I'll let you know when the arrangements are being done. I've already answered the question about the Rauda visits. I'm encouraging people to download the app and make the appointment when it's available. If we get the group permit, then you can get to go there twice. There is no sa'i associated with Tawaf al-Wada. What if, for baggage handling, what if our starting flight isn't domestic? Well, if it's an international flight that takes you all the way through, then you actually check your luggage all the way through to Medina, right? If you're going from USA to Amsterdam to Riyadh to Medina, then you'll check your luggage all the way to Medina in the international flight. That will be in their system. If my return flight is from Medina, will the agent organize a transfer from Mecca? And if it is yes, by Haramin train? Don't know that. It's too early for that. What happens if your return flight is from Medina? Did you choose that return flight yourself? Or was it the group flight from Medina? If it's a group flight from Medina that was created by the Hajj service provider, that they will arrange for you to get to Medina. But if it's something that you've chosen yourself as a custom flight, then I'm not so sure that they will provide you anything. You have to get to Medina on your own as such. But again, this is a question that you'd have to ask your search service provider for actually getting better clarification on that. Again, lots of questions on sacrifice. We know people have not purchased it. Almost no one has purchased it, and we're making arrangements with the service provider. We'll let you know the details towards in about 2 or 3 weeks. Please have patience. We will make sure that everybody's sacrifice is covered as to how, when, who to pay, when to pay. All that will be covered. I know when it's done. Just wait, work on this, right? I mean, with me, for example, right? How do I want to extend my stay? How to do it? Leaving 2 days after the end of Hajj is short. All I know is that the booking made through Nusuk is when you finish your stay in Mecca. You want to extend beyond that. That also affects your ticket in Mecca itself. I'm not so sure that you can do it through Nusuk. But if it's a group flight, you're stuck with the group flight. If it's a group flight you want to change, I doubt that they will change it, because group flight is a group with 50 people in it. They won't change it for 1 or 2 people. If it's a custom flight and you want to change the custom flight, or you already changed it, then you have to extend the accommodation. So I'm not so sure that there's a clear answer as to how you do it, especially if you booked it through Nusuk. You can ask a service provider through an email to see if they can help you with that. Can you email us a copy of the slides? We will not be emailing you the copy of the slides. We'll be emailing you the link, or the link will be provided to the recording. The slide is too big for me to email out. Shall I bring an umbrella with me? I'm glad, Brother Ahmed, you asked me. So there's a whole bunch of things that the Hajj service provider gives out, right? Last year they gave out the umbrellas. Last year they gave out the prayer mat. Last year they gave out, I believe, even a water bottle. So we're still waiting for them to come back and tell us what they will provide. And so you will know it, so you don't have to go out and purchase that. An umbrella was one of those they provided last year, and my guess would be they will provide it this year, but let's wait till we get the list. We'll communicate that to you. You're asking me, meet and greet service is offered in any case. For me, I have a custom flight and highly likely to land. So, brother, if you're coming in and you bought this flight through Nusuk, right? Whether it's a custom flight you bought through Nusuk al-Musafir, then they will have someone at the airport for you, regardless of when you come in 24-hour day, right? We booked a custom flight through Saudi Airlines, and currently from Doha, only Qatar Airways is flying. So do we book one more flight from Qatar Airways just to have an option and then cancel the Saudi flight as due to the current situation? Again, Qatar Airways is going through their flights and they're canceling some and rescheduling others. That dust has not settled yet. So I would say wait until that is done, and then we can see what options available to you, because they're aware that they're not flying through Doha, and so they're making other arrangements. Either they're making arrangements with Saudi Airlines or others. If you can just bear with us for another week or so, we'll have more clarity and we'll communicate all such information, inshallah, for you on when the time comes, inshallah. Just bear with me just a second. Okay. When will you be able to book your domestic flight? As soon as you get confirmation of the international flight. When you have that ticket with you, then you know when to book the domestic flight, which we expect to start sending out April the 19th, inshallah. If you already paid for Adahi with the Hajj package, if you show you paid for it, then you don't have to do anything. With the ongoing political uncertainty in the region, have service providers had any discussions about cancellation contingency, or is planning normal so far? So far, they're planning that Hajj will happen. The only discussions they're having is if the airports don't open in certain regions, for example, Will there be alternative? Will there be reroutes, for example? Is that the reroute will be option that they will actually do themselves with the other airlines? So they're having those discussions as such. But as far as Hajj is concerned, there's no cancellation of Hajj itself. It's just like your flights are being considered as to how to get you there. Should Doha remain closed? How do you get people in Qatar Airways into for Hajj? So those kinds of discussions are happening, and that's why some of the questions are premature because I can't answer them because we don't have a conclusion from them yet. Okay, but Hajj is still happening. If your flight is landing in Jeddah, Sister Khadija, and it is a group flight, you're landing in Jeddah, then the service provider will provide you transportation to Medina. Yes. I covered that in the logistics session last weekend. Will everyone be taking Haramain train from Medina to Makkah, or will some will take the bus? I think when they make the arrangements, they make the arrangements not as an option. Some people say, I don't want this, I want this, I want that. They just do it in bulk. So the bulk of all those that are departing on the 21st, or in your case on the 4th of Zulhijjah, it'll be a bulk request for them to actually get the train tickets for everyone. I don't think there'll be an option for some taking bus and some taking train because I don't think there's a way for them to distinguish who's taking what, right? Does Seera do the booking for Rauda? Yes, the plan is for them to make the booking for Rauda, but I want you to make your own booking on the Nusuk app in case that plan doesn't work out because I don't have that. And this way you'll actually have at least be able to attend the Rauda. By the way, I just want you to know people become very emotional. I know that Rauda is important for you to attend, but Rauda or praying in the Rauda is not something the Prophet ﷺ ever said. What he said is that between my house and my mimbar is a garden from among the gardens of Jannah, but you will not find a single hadith in which say, come here and pray in the Rauda. What he did say is, prayer in my masjid is 1,000 times better than anywhere else except on Masjid al-Haram. So the purpose of us visiting Medina is to pray in his masjid and to offer salams to him. That's the purpose of going to Medina as such, right? So if you don't get to pray in the Rauda, it does not invalidate your Hajj. Yes, I want to do it because it's so important to be able to pray in there. But some people get so preoccupied by it, they get upset if they don't get it. Again, do the best that you can. We're giving you the option. Yes, service provider is supposed to actually get a group permit done. And of course, then there is the Nusuk app. Try both sides and see, hopefully one will work for you, inshallah. I forgot to mention the arrival airport, but my flight lands in Jeddah at 22:30. Are we traveling to Medina by? Again, if you've booked it through Nusuk, you'll be taken care of. It depends on what's available. I had this covered in the last webinar I had last weekend. That depends on what's available. If the train is available, I doubt the train will be available because the trains stop. The last train stops at about 10:30, 11 o'clock, unless they put on more trains because of these types of arrivals. Next train is in the morning. Maybe they'll take you by bus. I just don't know, but they will take responsibility if you book through Nusuk. Salam, when will be informed of our assigned roommates for quad occupancy? I think there was an email sent out that says exactly when we're going to provide this information. I'm trying to see if I can, pull that up somehow. There's a dateline given out in the month of April when the rooming will be shared, but that's part of the plan. I believe it's towards the end of April that they will actually um, allow you to take a look at. I'm trying to figure out where it is. Just bear with me, please. Okay. Okay. So we have a plan to share this information with you. Um, let's say end of April, inshallah. If you have a custom flight, Brother Tariq, from coming from Egypt into into Medina through Al-Musafir, through Nusuk, then into Jeddah, they will take care of transferring you to Medina. Okay. If you bought it through them, they're responsible for it. Those who are trying to look at their app, Rauda, Al-Nusuk app, and trying to book Rauda, and the Rauda will not be open now. They open 1 month at a time or 2 weeks at a time. So if you're looking at sometime in May, it's all grayed out. They haven't even opened ability to book Rauda on the app. So just wait. You won't even see it until the end of April. You might see it even a week before or 2 weeks before the time that you're going to be in Medina. So it's not now here. Will there be separate DST guides for men and women? Well, there will be DST guides for a group of 45 to 50 people, but then within a given program or a given location, there will be at least somebody you'll also have access to sisters or sister who can act as a guide, but not necessarily there'll be a separate guide for women, a separate guide for men. No. Will there be an in-person meeting prior to departure? There is no in-person meeting as such with respect to logistics, but there are different massages throughout the UK, the USA, and Canada, where they're going to be hosting the spiritual sessions with respect to Hajj. And if you're in one of those areas, you can go and attend them. We'll publish the schedule, we'll publish the invite, and you can attend based on that. People are asking repeated question. One family member has severe nut allergy. Are there any considerations or requests that can be made regarding food? The thing is, you make the request, but the question is you're looking for guarantees that this is a nut-free environment. And I'm not so sure that there's anyone that can guarantee you that. What we normally tend to do, Sister Farzana, is that when you get to the hotel in Medina, you go and ask to speak with the chef. And you ask him this question. And he may actually provide special meals if need be. It's not guaranteed. During Hajj time is really absolutely busy and crazy. But for anybody to say now I can guarantee you that, it's absolutely not possible to guarantee that. And what arrangements, consideration you're looking for is that you're looking for a meal that's prepared in an environment that is free of nuts. Sometimes they don't even know where the ingredients are coming from as such. So I would say to you that you asked that question of asked to speak to the chef in Mecca and asked to speak to the chef in Medina. And obviously I'm assuming you also have medicine in case of the allergy, like EpiPen or so, just in case you have to actually do that. But other than that, it's too early for me to say there are any other consideration or requests that can be made regarding food. Even if I make the request, I'm not so sure how they can guarantee it at this time. What is the latest time frame for visa issuance based on last year's experience? I think I covered that in a slide. We're expecting April 17th, inshallah. If you purchase Adahi already through Nusuk, you do not have to do anything again. If you already purchased the sacrifice, that will be looked after by Nusuk itself. People are asking the same questions again and again. My connection duration from Jeddah to Medina is 2 hours. Will it affect immigration? Brother Muhammad, if they issued the ticket, right, that has that connection, then they can only do it from an airline perspective if it's a legal connection, right? They will not do it otherwise. As to what really happens if you land, there's a lot of crowd, you miss it. This is something that has to be dealt with when it happens. What if your flight is late? There's so many what ifs that we can't have an answer to. But 2 hours is considered to be a legitimate time frame. I would rather have it more from Jeddah to Medina. But if you issued the ticket, separate ticket, then I would be concerned about it. But if they issued a combined ticket, landing from JFK to Jeddah and going on to Medina, then definitely you will be not the only one on that flight going to Medina. Will there be any in-person session for pilgrims based in Toronto? Yes. We're planning on having a session with Dr. Hamid Slimi in Sayyida Khadija Center. We are planning having a session in Masjid Khalid bin Walid with Imam Urur Muhammad. and we'll give you all the details, hopefully, in an email. Okay, brothers and sisters, you've been very patient. Thank you very much. This answers all the questions that was posted here. So please remember, this is the journey of the heart, and you should spend every day, some time, preparing your heart for this journey. Repair the relationship, and turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have the tendency to have things happen a certain way. We keep forgetting that we're not in charge. We keep forgetting that we want certain outcome, and we feel that we failed if we don't get certain outcome. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not judge you based on your outcome. Did you achieve this? No. He will judge you based on the amal that you did, the effort you made, and the sincerity with which you made the effort. So apply sincerity to your effort. If it happens for you, alhamdulillah. It doesn't happen for you, alhamdulillah. We're doing the same thing, right? It's not in our hands, but we're sincere in providing the services that we say we'll provide. Do we know everything? No. Do we have everything under control? No. Do we expect to have everything under control? No. So apply the best and turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the doer is Him. It is He who has honored you to be His guest. It is He who's asking you to come. It is He who sends you back home free of sins. It is He who will inscribe your name as the inhabitant of Jannah if you accept your Hajj. That's what you need to concentrate on. What effort, what time, what energy do I have to expend to be among those who's forgiven, to be among those whose name is written as the inhabitant of Jannah? What am I prepared to sacrifice for this? And that's what you need to concentrate on. And you need to concentrate on seeking forgiveness of others that you have wronged, seeking and trying to remove the malice from your heart. It is so difficult to do, but it's so important to do, to cleanse it, remove the rust from your heart. So when you stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you stand with as sound a heart as you possibly can. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that's going to put in your heart the du'as to make. This is an Islamic concept, that you sometimes make dua that you never could have thought of. And you say, where did that come from? All the beautiful things that I asked for. Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes to grant you something, He first makes you ask for it. And that requires a sincere heart. And that's what you need to concentrate. And your presence before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, the rituals are important. Yes, you need to know the rituals. But see, people get so inundated in the rituals, that have I done it right? That they forget the spiritual dimension of this act of worship. Subhanallah. This is the one that says, when you complete Hajj that is acceptable, the reward is no less than Jannah. So spend some time pleading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you ease in this travel, to grant you safety in this travel, to accept it from you, to grant you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of this deen, and the ability to act upon it. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the same, and grant us a safe journey to His house, and return us home back safely to our family and loved ones. Jazakumullahu khair. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.